Hello, word nerds, and welcome to The Dictionary. It's a YouTube show and a podcast show, and we're here to talk about the words in alphabetical order, very, very slowly, adding a bit of information when we can, maybe some songs, maybe some silliness, and sound effects. Oh, so many sound effects. All right. Getting into it, the first word in this episode is extrajudicial. All of these words are going to start with extra, and I think that they're pretty much all one word. There's one that's a couple words. So extrajudicial, one word, extrajudicial. Adjective from 1630, 1A. Not forming a valid part or regular legal proceedings, as in an extrajudicial, gotta get that syllable in there, extrajudicial investigation. It does not form a valid part or regular legal, valid part or of. Why am I mixing up the ofs and the ors? The text is very tiny, so I switched it. Not forming a valid part of regular legal proceedings. That makes way more sense. So something that's extrajudicial is not part of the regular proceedings. So is this like outside of the courthouse, before the trial, after the trial? It's different. It's outside of the normal judicial things. So it's extrajudicial. An investigation. Okay. 1B. Delivered without legal authority. The synonym is the 2A2 definition for the word private. Private. As in the judge's extrajudicial statements. So the judge's statements were delivered without legal authority. The judge did not have legal authority to make these statements. So interesting. Number 2 is done in contravention of due process of law, as in an extrajudicial execution. This word is hard to say. Extrajudicial. I don't want to go from the extrajudicial. It's a hard transition to make. So this extrajudicial execution was done in contravention of due process. Does that mean that there was no due process? And they executed somebody and they weren't supposed to? I just learned something about executions. I'm reading this book, Determined, and the terminology is very smart for my brain, too smart for me. But I didn't know this, that when there was like the shooting range, the firing squad, somebody's going to be put to death by people shooting at them, that the people felt guilty, even though they were on the opposite side of the war or whatever. The people felt guilty shooting somebody, so they would give one person a blank bullet out of, I don't know, 5 or 10 or 15 people shooting. They would give one of them a blank, so but they didn't know who. And so they all were like, well, there's a chance that I didn't kill this person. I don't have to feel guilty. Also, like when they're injecting lethal injection, there's 2 people who press a button, and there's like 2 syringes, I guess, in the person's arm, and the button goes through a machine that randomly chooses which one to inject, so they don't know who actually put this person to death. So there's like this feeling of less guilt, I guess. I think there were other examples too, but how interesting. I didn't realize this was happening. That was just a little story about execution. Extrajudiciously, you can say that too, judicially or judicially. Those are adverbs. That's an adverb. Okay, it is sound effect time, and I'm gonna go. The next word is extra legal. Maybe it's similar to extrajudicial. Adjective from 1644. not regulated or sanctioned by law. As in, there's no example. Extra legally is an adverb. So it's outside of the legal world. If you are doing something, if you're doing something that's not regulated or sanctioned by law, wouldn't you just call it illegal? Illegal? Extra legal? Extra legal makes it sound like it's the most legal. It's super legal. Is illegal different than this? I guess if it were the same, they would have put it as a synonym maybe, but they didn't put it in there, so I don't know. Extra legal. The next word is extralimital. It's all one word. Adjective from 1874, not present in a given area. And this is used of kinds of organisms like species. So certain species would be extralimital when they are not in a certain area. Is it that they are not in the certain area that people expect them to be in? Sorry, I had a little internal burp there. They're not present in a given area. So you are describing a species in terms of what it is not, right? It's not there. It's extralimital to the United States. Okay, that's not helpful to me, but it is limital to this other place. I'm sure there are better uses than what I'm saying, but that's basically what it is. You're describing it as not in a certain area. Let's see. Was there anything else for that one? Nope. Extra linguistic. Adjective from 1927. Line outside the province of linguistics. The province of linguistics. Where do you live? What province of Canada? No, that's Providence. Providence or province? Ooh, which is which? I don't know. Now I'm thinking too hard about it. But something that is extra linguistic is outside the province of linguistics. I don't even know what that means. The province of linguistics. It's not related to linguistics. It's not linguistical. What would be extra linguistic? I don't know. Let's just type that into the box. What is extra Now it's just going to give me the definition, and I don't want that. Not included within the realm of language or linguistics. Oh, so it's just like, it's just not, language too. Linguistics or language? Okay, so somebody put the question onto the Reddit, but there's oh yes, there are comments. Came across this term, it can't compare to extra linguistic culture-bound references. Is there a succinct outside? Yeah, I'm trying to think of like what would be extra linguistic. Hand motions would still be linguistic because that's part of language, like sign language. Interesting. What is this fun image show? Facial interpretive vocal expression. I don't know what that is. I want to find. Oh, this says body language, gesture, facial expressions, all of which communicate a great deal without language. Also, you might, I guess there's a difference between that and communication. Okay. Also, you might say that if you throw a stone at someone, you've communicated something without language. Right. So you can still communicate. Extra linguistic stuff can still be considered communication. But language, the speaking, or the linguistic things related to language, that's not extra linguistic. Okay, now Google has been doing this AI thing now that they've added it to Google. So the AI overview says extra linguistic elements are nonverbal aspects of communication such as body language, facial expressions, tone of voice, gestures, and pitch. For example, body language can convey emotions, attitudes, and intentions. Paralinguistic features of language are important because they can completely change the message. In fact, words make up less than 10% of conveyed meaning of most of our communicative acts. Okay, cool. Yep. So if I go, you know what that means. That's extralinguistic. All right, we got it. Good digging. Extralinguistically is an adverb. So now if you see somebody doing some body language, interesting gestures that are not sign language, you can just be like, that was some extralinguistic communication that you just did with me. Next is extra-literary. Adjective from 1945. This is line outside the field of literature. It's just not literature. That's what I think the definition should have said, not literature. Next is extrality. Extrality. This is a noun from 1925, and the synonym is extraterritoriality, which is, I think, going to be in the next episode. Yeah, extraterritoriality. Woo, that's a fun word. So it's probably outside of a territory, outside of an area, and it's just extrality. It's a much shorter way to say it. Extraterritoriality became extrality. Next is extra-logical. You see a pattern with all these words today. Extra-logical is an adjective from 1833, and it means not guided or determined by considerations of logic. Well, that was so illogical what they did. I can't believe when they jumped around doing something silly. There was no logic to that thing. So it was extra logical. Again, when I hear extra logical, I think of, oh, this is like the most logical. Nope. We got to remember extra is like outside of the thing. Okay. Extramarital. This is one of the only words in this episode that I think I've actually heard. And, again, we know this is, now we talked about the extra prefix, meaning sort of outside of this thing. Then extramarital is outside of the marriage. But specifically, it's an adjective from 1925, and it means of relating to or being sexual intercourse between a married person and someone other than his or her spouse. And the synonym is adulterous, as in the example, an extramarital affair. They are having an affair. Now, there are, I think that what am I trying to say? There are ways that people can have an extramarital affair, an affair of some kind, and it doesn't have to be sexual intercourse. People can have emotional relationships or physical relationships or some other combination of that with people. So this relationship world that we're aware of is different. So anyway, this definition could probably be adjusted, but if we're being stereotypical, if we're going to make a generalization, yes, typically an extramarital affair is sexual intercourse, a physical, sexy relationship between probably two people, could be more, that is outside of the legal marriage that people are in. No, so if you're in a partnership with somebody, you're not legally married, but you have committed yourself to a person and you have an affair outside of that relationship, is it still extramarital or is it extra? What would the extra relation, what would you call that if you're not legally married? A lot of people, I think, are just not getting married. They're just being like, well, we're just committing ourselves to each other. We don't want to do the legal stuff. You got to figure it out for yourself, whatever you want to do. That's it. There's no other forms of that word. Extramarital. So, but of course, you could also use this word for other things, anything outside of the marriage situation. I don't know what that would be, but you could use this word to describe other things other than a relationship, an affair, a meal. I don't know, whatever. Next is extra mundane or extra mundane. It's just so mundane. This podcast is extra mundane. Adjective from 1665. My brain, as I've said, my brain wants to use the word extra, the part of the word extra, as being more so. And of course, our culture has been using this word extra to mean it's the most, it's the more of the thing. But yeah, I'm trying to remind myself it's not always about that. Sometimes it is. So extra mundane is, I think I said adjective 1665, situated in or relating to a region beyond the material world. Whoa. Okay, well, this is interesting because this is not at all what I would have thought the definition would have said, but if you look at the words, it actually makes sense. So, the etymology is from the Latin extra plus mundus, which means the world. The world. So how did we get the word mundane? Is mundane just of the world? Just very normal of this planet, this plane that we're on? Is that what mundane actually means? I think of mundane as just being like, okay, extra mundane is a region beyond the material world. And I guess I would think that what they mean by that is like the spirit world, the fantasy world, not like what's out in space, the stars, the planets, all those sorts of things, because those are all still part of the material world. They're just not part of this planet Earth. So extra mundane has just got to be outside of the physical plane, I guess. The material world is what it says. I'm living in a material world. Are you living in a material world? A physical world? Okay. It's an interesting word. Interesting word. Beep, 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 boop. Next is extramural. Extramural, adjective from 1854. It's something that you paint that's not on a mural. What is it? Number 1, existing or functioning outside or beyond the walls, boundaries, or precincts of an organized unit, like a school or hospital. Mural, I think of literally a painting on a wall, but I guess it literally has something to do with like the walls. Yeah. Ooh, okay. So it's something that's beyond the walls or boundaries of an organized thing like a school or a hospital. Extramural. Who uses these words? When do these words get used? Almost never. Extramarital is the only one that I can think of. Extrajudicial and extra legal, those are probably used in the legal world, I guess. But like, wow, extra liminal, extra linguistic, fascinating words today. Number 2 for extramural is chiefly British, and it means of, relating to, or taking part in extension courses or facilities. Extension courses. So is this like just more classes, literally classes that you are taking that are what, outside of extension courses or facilities? I don't know. If you're British, call me up, leave a voicemail on the Google Voice number in the show notes, send me an email, whatever. Tell me what extramural means to you and your British land people. They are not extra limited. I don't know. Okay, extramurally is an adverb. Okay. Woo 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 woo. Next is extra musical. Extra musical. Mozart was extra musical. Well, I don't know if that's correct because I don't know what the definition is, so let's read the definition. It's an adjective from 1923. Lying outside the province of music. Outside of music? What? So anything that's not musical is extra musical? It's just not music. Not music. My sound effect is not is I guess it would be extra musical unless I make it musical. If I go woo 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 woo, then it's musical. But if I go woo 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 woo, that would be extra musical. But some might like that music. If you make it into a song, if you turn my extra musical sound effect into a song, then it would be musical. Oh, we're thinking too hard about these things. Boo, 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 boo. The next word is extraneous, adjective from 1638. I know this word. Number 1, existing on or coming from the outside. Existing on the outside or coming from the outside, as in extraneous light. Does it have to be literally from the outside, or can it just be outside of the space that you're talking about? Extraneous. 2a, not forming an essential or vital part, as in extraneous ornamentation. So this ornamentation is not forming an essential. Well, isn't that kind of what ornamentation is anyway? It's not important. It's not going to hold up the building. It's ornamentation. It's ornamenting. It's making it look fancy. You're adding to it. But this ornamentation it's extra. It's extraneous. Extraneous. 2b, having no relevance whatsoever, as in an extraneous digression. I like to go on extraneous digressions, tangents in this episode, this show. Mostly it happens with guests, but sometimes I go on my own little extraneous digressions. They have no relevance to what I'm talking about. They have no relevance to the point of the show. What is the point of the show? I don't know. 3. Being a number obtained in solving an equation that is not a solution of the equation, as in extraneous roots. So this number is extraneous. It's being a number obtained in solving an equation that is not a solution of the equation. So would any number that's not the solution of the equation be extraneous? It's extraneous. It's not going to solve the equation, so get it out of here. How did you get the number? Or I don't know. I don't know how this is used. A synonym is the word extrinsic. Extrinsic. I almost said intrinsic because that's a word that I hear more often than extrinsic. Extraneously is an adverb, and extraneousness is a noun. This word is from the Latin extraneus, and there's more at the word strange, and I like that. I like that. Anything that's extraneous, you can just, it's strange, it's weird, it's different from all this stuff. Okay. Extranet. Extranet. It's not internet and it's not intranet, it's extranet. Noun from 1995. This is a network, as of a company, similar to an intranet that also allows access by certain others as customers or suppliers. So the intranet, I think, is kind of like the internal network of the company, but the extranet means that it's like that, but also outside people, extraneous people, people on the outside, can also connect to it. I don't know, would like an FTP server kind of situation, would that be part of the extranet? Maybe, possibly, okay, yes. Next is extra nuclear. Nuclear, and this says extra nuclear. That's the quote unquote not correct way to say it. Some people screw up their vowels in this word, and so this pronunciation is showing the divide symbol beforehand, which I don't remember what it's called. Maybe it's just called the divide symbol, but it's here in the pronunciation guide. It means this is a abnormal, not entirely correct way to pronounce this word, but some people do use it. Extra nuclear is that one, but it's technically pronounced extra nuclear. 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 See, now I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. Nuclear, extra nuclear, opposed to extra nuclear. Nuclear. Yeah, you're moving the L over. That's what it is. Okay, let's talk about this word. Adjective from 1887. 1. Situated in or affecting the parts of a cell external to the nucleus. And the synonym is cytoplasmic. Cytoplasmic. It's so yeah, I mean it's not about, nuclear power, nuclear waste. This is literally about the nucleus. Situated in or affecting the parts of a cell external to the nucleus. Not the nucleus, all the other parts outside of the nucleus. Boop. Whoop. Number 2 is situated outside the nucleus of an atom. Yep, that's what this word is all about. Outside of the nucleus. Now, you don't say nucleus. Do people say nucleus instead of nucleus? Maybe they do. Next is extraocular muscle, and muscle is its own word. Extraocular muscle, noun from 1939. Any of 6 small voluntary muscles that pass between the eyeball and the orbit and control the movement of the eyeball in relation to the orbit. So if you are watching the video, I think this part of the bone around your eye, so your eyebrow down to your cheekbone, I guess, like the bridge of your nose, this whole area I think is the orbit, and maybe a little, because that's bone right there. But then your eyeball's in the middle. If you have an eyeball, that's where it would go. And then, so these are the muscles, 6 small muscles that connect. We should find a picture of this. We got to find extraocular muscles. We got to see a picture of this. So, yeah, they are the little muscles. Ooh, yeah. So they go, I guess these are them, right? That's what all these pictures are showing. There's, these are the weirdest images. Anything related to the eye is so weird. So they basically divided the eye into 4 quadrants, and then I guess there's some extra ones. But yeah, on the left side, or on one side, there's a muscle that's like attaches to this part of the eyeball, and it goes back. And then there's another one on the inside, and then one on the top and one on the bottom. Top, bottom, left, right. There are these muscles that they attach. Must be right outside of where you can see. Let's see, I'm trying to look at the video. It's right there on the other side. And then I get, so there's the superior rectus, lateral rectus, medial rectus, inferior rectus. And then I guess there's these other ones. There's the inferior oblique. That one's on like the angle. I don't know which side it would be. Oh, I guess if it's your right eye, then it would, that one would be on the lower right side. And then it would be the opposite on your other eyeball. And then there's this other one way back here. Is this the superior oblique? That's another one. Yeah. Ooh. I guess that. Eyes are crazy. Eyes are crazy. Just last night, we watched the episode of It's Always Sunny where one of the McPoyle brothers has the skin-colored eye patch, and so they paint an eyeball on it. It's so funny. And I think they made a point because they made the one eyeball look kind of like, I think it's his right eye, and it's looking off a little to the right. And so when he's talking to somebody, he made sure to put his left eyeball looking left, and so they look like they're going in opposite directions, and it's so disturbing, but so funny. Oh my God. Okay, so these are the extraocular muscles that are. Why are they extraocular? Extraocular. They're not. Are they outside of the ocular stuff? I don't know. But now you know about the extraocular muscles. They are what allow your eyeball to move, and when your eyeball goes outside of your head, there's these 6 muscles attached to it. Just hanging there. Okay. Beep, 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 boop. Next is extraordinaire. 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 Adjective from 1940. The synonym is extraordinary or extraordinary, and this is used post-positively, as in the example, a chef extraordinaire. So, post-positively, I don't know exactly what that means, but I have to assume that the word post means that it's used after the word. Instead of an extraordinary chef, Josh and Jesse and I had a brief little conversation about the order of adjectives. That was pretty recently. Extraordinary chef or a chef extraordinaire. It means the same thing, but it sounds fancy, and you put it after. Podcast host extraordinaire. Okay. Well, we got one more word for this episode. It's the word extraordinary. Extraordinary or extraordinary. Yep, those are the ways that you can pronounce it. And it is spelled extraordinary. Adjective from the 15th century. Number 1A, going beyond what is usual, regular, or customary, as in extraordinary powers. Rah! My powers are, they're not regular, they're not customary, they're not usual, they're beyond all of those things. I literally have none of those powers. 1B, exceptional to a very marked extent, as in extraordinary beauty. Extraordinary beauty. It's exceptional to a very marked extent. This beauty is so exceptional. We have to talk about it. It's markedly interesting and beautiful. 1C is talking about a financial transaction, and the synonym is non-recurring. The word non-recurring in a financial transaction could also be used. You could also use extraordinary financial transactions. They're not recurring, I guess. That's what it is. How did they decide to use the word extraordinary for that? Number 2, employed for or sent on a special function or service, as in an ambassador extraordinary. Now, is this the post-positive thing where you're using it after the word? Employed, so this ambassador extraordinary, they are employed for a special function or service, or they are sent on a special function or service. It's because this is outside of their ordinary job, I guess. That's why it's extraordinary. Now, in that context, do you say extraordinary or extraordinary? Or extraordinary? Why don't we emphasize one of those syllables? Extraordinary. Okay, that was the last definition. Extraordinarily, or extraordinarily, that is an adverb, and extraordinariness. Extraordinariness or extraordinariness, that is a noun. Either one of those is just fine. Extraordinariness. Extraordinariness. Okay. This word is from the Latin word extraordinarius, which is from the phrase extra ordinem, two separate words, extra ordinem, which means out of course. If you are outside of the mini golf course, then you would be extra ordinem or extraordinary. The normal course is ordinary. We're all running around the rat race on this ordinary course, and this is why we got to do something outside of that course. Extra ordinem is from extra plus ordinem. Basically means order. The course, the order. What's the right order, the natural order of things? I think we all want to be we got to do something outside of the natural course, the natural order. Because it's boring. We do enough of it. We want to do something different. Okay. But of course, we often think of this word as being like the best, the pinnacle. That's why we saw exceptional to a very marked extent. Extraordinary. And then how did we start pronouncing it extraordinary? Why didn't we just keep saying extraordinary like it's spelled like all these other words? Did I misspell? Did I mispronounce any of them? Extra legal, extra liminal, extra linguistic, extra literary, extrality. That's the one that's different. Extra logical, extramarital, mundane, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, anyway, I'm going to have to reread these words again in a second because you know what? It's time for picking a word of the episode. Today that was not extra musical. Today we had extrajudicial, extra legal, extra liminal, extra linguistic, extra literary, extrality, extra logical, extramarital, extra mundane, extramural, extra musical, extraneous, extranet, extra nuclear, extra ocular muscle. Keep on hitting my chin on the microphone. Extraordinaire and extraordinary. Okay, well we got a couple of contenders here. Obviously extraordinary. There's also extra mundane. That one was super fascinating to me. Extra mundane, not related to the material world. Let's see. Anything else that is jumping out at me? I don't think so. I'm just gonna pick extraordinary because I think that we all need to just be doing more. Do some extraordinary things. Do some extraordinary things. Something out of the ordinary, something different than the usual. Extraordinary, it's great, but also different. Okay, that was great. Something that I think is extraordinary is the movie UHF, and I don't remember if I talked about it. I don't think I did. I just rewatched this a few days ago, and it's just so silly and bonkers and weird. It's of course Weird Al's movie from I think 1989, right around then, and I just appreciate it more every time I watch it. And the reason I watched it is because some people in the Weird Al fan community, which I am proud to be a part of, are getting together at the end of July for I don't know if it's going to be publicly live, but we're going to do our own live script reading of the script of the film. And there's a lot of people and there's some big roles, and so we're splitting up the big roles amongst a variety of people. So I'll be jumping in as George for a short little bit, and Stanley for a little bit, and then Bob at the end. I think I have like one line as Bob. And so I was like, you know what? I'm gonna need to rewatch this movie so I can really remind myself of these scenes. I might have to do another rewatch when we get closer to the time, but I was like, it's just time for a rewatch. I don't know if it must still be on sale. I think is this like the 35th? Yeah, I think this is the 35th anniversary. And so they're re-releasing this movie on Blu-ray, 4K Blu-ray with a bunch of extra stuff. And so I had to buy the big fancy set of all the extra stuff. I think I'm getting like a spatula magnet, and oh, my wife is going to be thrilled about this, but I think I'll get that later this year. UHF, just watch it, and just enjoy the extraordinariness of this just super silly movie. And Weird Al, he just goes for it. That's what he does. He's Weird Al. Okay, that's all I wanted to tell you about today. Until next time, this is Spencer dispensing information. Goodbye.